The music was loud. The hall was full. Everyone was smiling and clapping for my son and his bride. Then I felt a hard slap across my face so sharp that my ears rang. I stumbled sideways and almost fell into a table of drinks. People gasped. Someone screamed my name. And there, in front of wedding guests, cameras, and bright lights, my daughter-in-law, Lillian, stood over me with angry eyes like I was nothing. Before I could even speak, my son, Kelvin, pointed at a chair and said, "Sit down. Shut up. Do not ruin my day." My heart felt like it cracked into pieces. I looked around at all the faces staring at me. I tasted blood in my mouth. I wanted to ask one question so badly, but my lips shook. How did my own child become the person telling me to stay quiet while someone hurt me? That moment did not start in the wedding hall. It started months before, in my small house, the one I built slowly with my own hands and careful saving. My name is Grandma Eunice. I am 67 years old. I walk slowly now, but I still remember every hard day that brought me to the life I have. I raised Kelvin alone after his father died. I sold food in the market. I washed clothes for people who had more money than me. I missed meals so my son could eat. I paid his school fees late sometimes, but I always paid. I told myself, one day, he will grow up and he will remember what love looks like. Kelvin grew up tall and handsome. He was smart, and he could speak well. People liked him. When he got a good job in the city, I was proud. I stayed in my small house in our town. Kelvin came to visit, but not as much as before. Then he met Lillian. The first time Kelvin brought her to my house, she looked around like she was counting my chairs and plates. She smiled at me with her lips, but her eyes did not smile. Still, I welcomed her. I cooked rice and stew. I gave her the best piece of meat. I told her, "My daughter, you are welcome." She said, "Thank you, Ma." Her voice was polite, but cold. After that visit, Kelvin started calling me more often, but not with warm talk. It was always about something he needed. "Mom, I need small help. Mom, can you send money? Mom, can you sign something for me?" One day, he came again and sat in my living room. He looked tired, but he also looked nervous. "Mom," he said, "I want to talk to you about something serious." I sat up straight. "Are you okay? Is your job okay?" He nodded too fast. Yes, it is fine, but I want to take a loan." I frowned. "A loan for what?" "For the wedding," he said quickly. "And for a new place. Lillian's family is expecting a certain kind of wedding. They want something big." My stomach tightened. "Kelvin, a wedding is one day. A loan can be many years." He leaned closer. "Mom, listen, I have a plan. I will pay it back. But the bank needs someone with property. They need security." I already knew where this was going, and my mouth became dry. "What security?" He swallowed. "Your house." My heart beat loud in my ears. "My house. Mom, it is just paper," he said, waving his hand like he was brushing away dust. "It is only for the bank to approve it. I will pay. Nothing will happen. And after the wedding, I will transfer the house to my name anyway, because it will be better for me to manage things." I stared at him. "Transfer my house to your name? Kelvin, this house is my life. This is what I have." He sighed like I was being difficult. "Mom, you are getting old. Let me handle things. And you will still live here. Nothing will change." But I had heard stories. I had seen what happens when people sign papers they do not understand. So I said, "Let me think. Let me pray." Kelvin's face hardened just a little. "Mom, please. Do not embarrass me. Lillian's family will think I have no support. They will think I am poor." I felt that old fear that mothers feel. The fear of losing your child's love. Still, I held my ground. "I will not sign today," I said. Kelvin stood up. "Fine. I will come back." When he left, I sat alone for a long time. My hands shook on my lap. I told myself, "Eunice, be careful." A week later, Lillian came alone. She entered my house with a bright smile that did not reach her eyes. "Mama Eunice, I missed you." I watched her. "Welcome, my daughter. Sit." She did not sit. She walked around again, touching my curtains, looking at the ceiling. Then she said, "Mama, Kelvin told me you refused to help him." I felt my chest tighten. I did not refuse. I said I will think. Lillian turned and looked at me like a teacher looking at a child. Mama, Kelvin is a good man. He deserves a good start. My family is not like your village people. They expect standards. Those words burned. Village people, she said, while standing inside the house my village hands built. I stood up slowly. My daughter, mind your words. She smiled again, thin and sharp. I did not mean anything bad. But I will speak plain. If you do not sign, Kelvin will lose respect. And if Kelvin loses respect, I will not marry him. Do you want to be the reason your son's marriage fails? That was her weapon. Fear. Guilt. I swallowed. Why are you talking to me like this? She stepped closer. Because men listen to their mothers. You can make him, and you can break him. Choose wisely. Then she left, with her perfume filling my house like smoke. That night, Kelvin called. His voice was hard. Mom, Lillian is upset. Why are you doing this? I am protecting myself, I said, trying to stay calm. Kelvin, I love you, but I will not be foolish. He laughed, but there was no joy in it. Mom, you sound like an enemy. Do you want me to start my marriage with shame? I whispered, no. Then sign, he said. The next day, Kelvin arrived with papers. A man in a suit came with him. Kelvin said, Mom, this is the lawyer. Just sign. It is fine. I looked at the lawyer. Explain the papers. The lawyer spoke quickly. Too quickly. He used big words. Kelvin kept saying, Mom, just sign. Something in me said, no. Not like this. So I said, I will take these papers to my own lawyer. Kelvin's eyes widened. Your own lawyer? Mom, are you joking? I am not, I said. If it is safe, your fear should not be so big. Kelvin grabbed the papers from my hand. Forget it, he snapped. You have changed. You are selfish now. He stormed out. After that day, Kelvin stopped visiting. He called less. When he called, he sounded angry or rushed. Sometimes he did not call at all. Then I heard from my neighbor, Auntie Bissy, that Kelvin and Lillian had chosen a wedding date. They were going ahead without me. I felt pain, but I told myself, I will still attend. I am still his mother. 2 weeks before the wedding, Kelvin came again, quieter this time. He sat down and spoke softly. Mom, please. I am sorry for shouting. I just have pressure. I need you. My heart softened, because I am a mother. I said, Kelvin, I want peace. But I want safety too. He nodded. I understand. That is why I brought new papers. This one is different. It is only to show support. It is not a transfer. He placed the papers on the table and pushed them toward me. I stared at them. Where is the part that says it is not a transfer? He pointed quickly. Here, see. My eyes were not as sharp as before. The words were small. Kelvin's finger covered part of the line. I should have stopped right then. I should have insisted again on my own lawyer. But Kelvin's voice became soft like when he was a child. Mom, please, he said. Just this once. I will never forget it. I signed. I did not know that I was signing away more than I understood. The wedding day came. I wore my best wrapper and blouse. I carried a small purse with a gift inside. I walked into the hall with pride and fear mixed together. People turned to look at me because they knew I was the mother of the groom. At first, everything looked fine. Kelvin saw me and nodded, but he did not come to greet me properly. Lillian looked away. Then, during the reception, a woman from Lillian's side came to me and said, So you are the mother? Yes, I said, smiling. She leaned close and whispered, You should know your place today. Do not disturb the program. I felt cold inside. Later, I tried to talk to Kelvin. My son, I said, you did not greet me. Kelvin looked at me with eyes that were not kind. Mom, not now, please. I stepped back, embarrassed. Then I saw Lillian walking toward me, fast. Her face was twisted with anger. She stopped in front of me and hissed, Why are you moving around like you own this place? I blinked. My daughter, what is wrong? She raised her hand and slapped me. The sound cut through the music. Gasps filled the hall. I held my cheek. I could not believe it. People stared. Someone lifted a phone to record. I looked at Kelvin, waiting for him to defend me. Waiting for him to say, Stop. Instead, Kelvin shouted, "Mom, sit down." "Shut up." My knees felt weak. My face burned. My whole life flashed in my mind, all the sacrifices, all the love, all the nights I prayed for him. Then Lillian leaned close and said something that only I could hear. "You signed it," she whispered. "You already gave it to us." My blood turned to ice. "What did you say?" I whispered. She smiled. "Sit down, Mama, sit." And that was the moment I understood I was not just being shamed. I was being removed. I sat down because my body could not hold me anymore. My hands trembled. My heart pounded like a drum. I did not cry in that hall. Not yet. But inside me, something stood up. Something that said, if you do not protect yourself now, you will lose everything. And as I sat there, holding my face, I realized I did not even know what I had signed. I did not know what Kelvin and Lillian had planned. I only knew one thing. Whatever they had done, it was big enough for them to slap me in public and still feel safe. So I quietly took out my old phone, opened my messages, and looked for one contact I had not used in a long time. My lawyer. Because if they wanted me silent, then they had chosen the wrong day. And as the wedding music continued, I typed one sentence with shaking fingers. "Please call me now. It is urgent. They have taken my house." The phone screen glowed in my palm, and I felt a new fear rise. What if it was already too late? What if, while the guests danced, my life was already being carried away from me? My lawyer, Mr. Adimi, called me while the wedding program was still going on. I did not answer immediately. My hands were shaking too much. I waited until the crowd became loud again, then I stood up slowly and walked out of the hall like I was going to the restroom. My legs felt like wood. My cheeks still burned. My heart felt heavy like a stone. Outside the hall, the air was cooler. I leaned against a wall and answered. "Hello," I whispered. "Madam Eunice, Mr. Adimi said, what happened?" "Your text sounded serious." I swallowed. "My son, Kelvin, and his bride," she slapped me in front of everyone. "And she said they have my house. She said I signed it." There was a short silence on the line, the kind of silence that means danger. "Madam," he said carefully, "where are you right now?" "At the wedding hall," I said. "They are inside, dancing." "Listen to me," he said. "Do not confront anyone again today. Do not shout. Do not fight. If they are bold enough to slap you in public, they are bold enough to do worse if you challenge them in front of people." My stomach tightened. So what do I do? "Go back inside," he said, "and act calm. Smile if you have to. Watch. Listen. Then leave quietly when you can. Come to my office first thing tomorrow morning with every paper you have ever signed for Kelvin." Every one. I nodded even though he could not see me. "I will." "Madam," he added, "do you have a copy of what you signed 2 weeks ago?" "No," I whispered. Kelvin took the papers. He said it was fine. Mr. Adimi sighed, a deep tired sound. "All right. We will get a copy. But you must understand something. If you signed a deed of assignment or a power of attorney, they may have used it to change ownership or take loans." My throat tightened. "So they can take my house." "They can try," he said. "But we can fight if we move fast. Do you have your title documents, the originals?" "Yes," I said quickly. "They are in my metal box at home." "Good," he said. "Make sure they stay with you. Do not let Kelvin or anyone enter your house alone. Do you understand?" I felt fear crawl up my spine. "Yes, Madam Eunice," he said, "go back inside now. Keep your phone on. If anything else happens, call me. And please, do not stay late." I ended the call and stood there breathing hard. My chest felt tight like a rope was wrapped around it. Then I looked at my reflection in a window. My cheek was red. My eyes looked watery. I looked like a woman who had been pushed out of her own life. I wiped my face with my handkerchief and walked back inside. When I entered, the music hit me again. People were dancing. Lillian was smiling in photos like she had not just hurt someone. Kelvin was laughing with his friends. I wanted to scream. I wanted to pull the microphone and tell everyone, this is not love. This is cruelty. But Mr. Adimi's words stayed in my head. Do not confront. Watch. Listen. So I sat down again, quiet. A woman came to me, one of Kelvin's friend's wives. She looked uncomfortable. Mama Eunice, she said softly, are you okay? I forced a small smile. I am fine. She looked around and leaned close. I saw what happened. That was wrong. I am sorry. I nodded. Thank you. She hesitated, then said, I heard something earlier. I did not want to believe it, but after what I saw, I think you should know. My heart jumped. What did you hear? She lowered her voice. Kelvin and Lillian were talking with a man in a suit in a small room behind the hall. They were saying the house is secured. They were laughing. Lillian said, once the wedding is done, she cannot fight us. People will say she is jealous. My hands clenched. They said that. The woman nodded sadly. I am sorry. I just thought, you should be careful. I breathed slowly. So it was true. They had a plan, and the wedding was part of it. The slap was not just anger. It was a message. Sit down. Be quiet. We are in control. I thanked the woman and sat alone, listening. Later, I saw Kelvin's uncle, Uncle Tunda, talking to Kelvin near the stage. I moved closer, pretending to fix my wrapper. I kept my head down and listened. Uncle Tunda said, Kelvin, you are sure everything is settled? Your mother is stubborn. She can cause trouble. Kelvin answered, Uncle, it is settled. She signed. We have the document. Once we register it, it is done. Uncle Tunda laughed. Good. Then she will stop behaving like she is still the owner. Kelvin's voice was low and cold. Yes. She will learn. My stomach turned. So my son, the child I carried on my back, was speaking about teaching me a lesson like. I was a stranger. I moved away before they noticed me. For the rest of the wedding, I stayed quiet. I clapped when people clapped. I smiled when people took photos. I acted like nothing was wrong. But inside me, my mind was racing. I thought about my metal box at home, where my land papers and documents were. I thought about the key around my neck. I thought, if they come tonight, they will want those documents. Then, as the program got later, I saw Kelvin whispering to Lillian. She nodded and looked around the hall, scanning faces like she was searching for me. Then she walked toward me with a smile. Mama, she said sweetly, loud enough for people to hear, we want to take pictures with you. Come. People smiled and murmured, yes, yes, mother-in-law photo. My heart beat hard. I did not trust her smile. I stood up slowly. All right. They led me to the front for photos. Kelvin stood on one side of me. Lillian stood on the other. Cameras flashed. Then Lillian leaned close, still smiling for the cameras, and whispered, after today, you will not have a seat in that house again. I froze for a second, but I forced myself to keep smiling. Kelvin also leaned close and whispered, Mom, please behave. Do not make scenes. You will only shame yourself. I looked at him and realized something painful. Kelvin was not confused. He was not under a spell. He was choosing this. After the photos, I went back to my seat. I decided I would leave early. I would go home while they were still busy. I would lock my gate. I would secure my documents. I would sleep with one eye open. But as I stood up to leave, I saw two men I did not know walking around near the hall entrance. They looked like movers or workers. One of them spoke into a phone. The other held car keys and kept checking the parking area. Then I saw Kelvin point toward the direction of my street, as if giving directions. My heart sank. They were not just planning to move me out, later. They were planning something tonight. I sat back down quickly, pretending I forgot something. My hands shook as I opened my phone and texted Mr. Adimi again. I think they are coming to my house tonight. What should I do? He replied fast. Leave the hall now. Go straight home. Call a trusted neighbor. Do not go alone if you can avoid it. And call the police if anyone attempts forced entry. My mouth went dry. I looked around for someone I could trust. Auntie Bissy, my neighbor, was not at the wedding. Uncle Tunda was clearly not on my side. Most people were enjoying the party. Then I saw one person who had always respected me. Pastor Samuel, our church pastor, who had come for the wedding blessing earlier, was still there talking to some elders. I walked to him quietly. Pastor, I said, my voice shaking, please, I need help. He looked at my face and his eyes widened. Mama Eunice, what happened to your cheek? I swallowed. I will explain later. But please, can you follow me home now? I think they will try to enter my house tonight." Pastor Samuel's face became serious. "Yes, I will come." He called 2 elders who were strong men who could stand firm without shouting. We left the hall quietly, before anyone could stop us. As we walked to the car park, I felt my heart pounding. I kept looking behind me. Then I heard a voice. "Mama Eunice." It was Kelvin. I turned slowly. Kelvin walked toward me fast, his face tight. Lillian followed behind him, her smile gone. "Where are you going?" Kelvin demanded. I forced calm into my voice. "I am tired. I am going home." Kelvin stepped closer. "You cannot leave like that. People will talk." Pastor Samuel moved forward. "Kelvin, your mother is injured. She needs to rest. Let her go." Kelvin's eyes flicked to the pastor, then to the elders. For a moment, he looked unsure. Then Lillian stepped forward and said, sweetly, "Pastor, thank you, but Mama is fine. She is just being dramatic." Pastor Samuel's eyes narrowed. "Dramatic? She has a handprint on her face." Lillian's jaw tightened. Kelvin reached for my arm. "Mom, come back inside. Now." I pulled my arm away gently but firmly. "Do not touch me, Kelvin." His eyes flashed with anger. "You are making trouble again." Pastor Samuel said, "Kelvin, step back." Kelvin stood frozen for a second. Then he leaned close to me and whispered, "If you leave now, do not blame me for what happens next." My blood turned cold. I looked at his face and saw something I had never seen before. Not love, not respect, only control. I did not answer. I turned and walked with Pastor Samuel and the elders toward my car. As we drove away, I looked back through the window and saw Lillian speaking quickly to one of the strange men near the entrance. The man nodded and ran toward a vehicle. Pastor Samuel gripped the steering wheel. "Mama, we may have to act fast." My throat tightened. "Pastor, what if they already changed the locks? What if they already have papers that say the house is theirs?" He looked at me. "Then we will still stand. But first, we reach your gate. We see what is happening." When we turned into my street, my heart nearly stopped. There, near my house, under the streetlight, was a small truck. And 2 men were already at my gate, holding tools. One of them looked up and said, "We were told to clear this place tonight." I felt my knees go weak. Because that meant Kelvin and Lillian were not just planning to threaten me. They were already moving. Pastor Samuel stopped the car right in front of my gate. The headlights shone on the 2 men holding tools. They blinked like people caught stealing. One of the elders, Elder Coonley, stepped out first. He was a tall man with a calm face and a firm voice. "What are you doing here?" Elder Coonley asked. The man with the tools lifted his hands. "Oga, we are just workers. We were told to open the gate and help move things." Pastor Samuel stepped out and pointed at my gate. "Who told you?" The man hesitated. "The new owners." My stomach twisted. "New owners." The second man, younger, said quickly, "Yes. They said the old woman inside has agreed. They said we should come tonight so everything will be ready." I stepped out of the car slowly. My heart was pounding, but my voice came out steady. "This is my house," I said. "I am the owner. I did not agree to any moving." The men exchanged a look. Elder Coonley said, "Pack your tools and leave. Now." The man frowned. "But we have been paid. We cannot just leave." Pastor Samuel took out his phone. "Then I will call the police and report attempted break-in. You can explain to them who paid you." The men stiffened. They did not want trouble. The older one muttered, "We did not know." They backed away toward the truck. But before they could leave, a car turned into the street. I recognized it immediately. Kelvin's car. It slowed and stopped behind the truck. The door opened. Kelvin stepped out. Lillian stepped out too. Kelvin looked at Pastor Samuel and the elders. His face tightened like he was angry they were there. Lillian looked at me and smiled a small cruel smile. "Mama, you are home early." Kelvin said, "Mom, why did you bring people here?" My voice shook now, not from fear, but from pain. "Kelvin, why did you bring strangers to break my gate?" Kelvin lifted his chin. "Nobody is breaking anything. This place is ours. You signed it. We are only helping you move out quietly. We even planned a small room for you somewhere else. Why are you fighting?" My ears rang. "Move out. Kelvin, this is my home. Lillian crossed her arms. Mama, you are too old to be stubborn. You will go to the place we prepared. It is better. Pastor Samuel stepped forward. Kelvin, show us the document that gives you the right to remove your mother tonight. Kelvin hesitated. Lillian quickly pulled a folder from her bag. Here, she said, handing it toward Kelvin. Kelvin opened it and held up a paper like a trophy. This is it, he said. Power of attorney. She gave me authority. She signed willingly. I stared at the paper, trying to read. My eyes caught a familiar line. My name. My signature. The date. I felt dizzy. Power of attorney. I whispered. Mr. Adimi had mentioned that word. Now I understood. It meant I had given Kelvin power to act for me like he was me. To sign things. To move things. To take loans. To do many things. Kelvin said, so, Mom, please. Let us not make drama. Come inside and pack your things. I looked at Lillian. Why did you slap me? Why did you shame me? Lillian shrugged like it was nothing. Because you were beginning to talk too much. And because you needed to know your place. Pastor Samuel's face tightened. Kelvin, even if she signed power of attorney, it does not give you the right to assault her or evict her without due process. And she can revoke it. Kelvin's eyes widened. Revoke. Pastor Samuel nodded. Yes. If she says she no longer trusts you, she can cancel it. And any action you take now will be questioned. Lillian's smile faded. She stepped closer to Kelvin and whispered sharply, not caring that we could hear. She is trying to ruin everything. Do it now. Kelvin's jaw clenched. Then he looked at the workers and said, open the gate. The workers hesitated. Elder Coonley stepped in front of my gate. You will not open anything. Kelvin's face changed. You people should leave. This is family matter. Pastor Samuel said, this stopped being private when you brought strangers with tools. Kelvin stepped toward me. Mom, choose. Either you cooperate, or you will regret it. My heart pounded. I wanted to cry. I wanted to beg. But I also felt something new. A strong hard truth. This was not about a wedding. This was about greed, control, money. I breathed slowly, remembering Mr. Adimi's advice. Move fast. I turned to Pastor Samuel. Pastor, please, stay with me. I need to secure my documents inside. Pastor Samuel nodded. Yes. We walked into my house together. Elder Coonley and the other elder stood at the gate, blocking anyone from entering. Inside, my house felt suddenly unfamiliar. Like it was already under attack. I went straight to my bedroom and opened my metal box. I took out my land title documents and held them tightly like a baby. Then I remembered something else. Kelvin had said, once we register it, it is done. So maybe they had not registered the transfer yet. Maybe they were trying to get me out first, then complete everything. If I stayed, I still had a chance. I called Mr. Adimi. He answered immediately. Madam Eunice. They are here, I said fast. Kelvin and Lillian. Workers. Tools. They say I signed power of attorney. They want to remove me tonight. His voice became sharp. Do not let them inside. Do you have your original title documents? Yes, I have them. Good, he said. Listen carefully. Tonight, you will do two things. 1. We will report the assault and attempted illegal eviction. 2. Tomorrow morning we will file to revoke the power of attorney immediately. If they used it to transfer the property, we challenge it. But we must move now. I swallowed. How do I stop them tonight? Call the police, he said. Now. Tell them there is an attempted break-in and you have witnesses. I nodded, and ended the call. I dialed the police. My fingers shook, but I forced my voice to sound clear. When I finished, Pastor Samuel said, the police will come. They said they are on the way, I replied. We went back toward the sitting room. Through the window, I could see Kelvin pacing outside. Lillian was on her phone, speaking fast. The workers were restless. Then Kelvin shouted, loud enough for the neighbors to hear, Mom, you will come out. Do you hear me? Pastor Samuel opened the window slightly. Kelvin, calm down. The police are coming. Kelvin froze. Lillian's head snapped toward the window. Police, she hissed. Kelvin's eyes flashed with panic and anger. He looked at Lillian, then at the workers. Then he did something I did not expect. He walked to the truck and told the men, leave. Now. Drive away. The men did not argue. They jumped in quickly. The truck started and rolled away. Kelvin turned and walked to the gate again, trying to look calm. He raised his hands like he was the reasonable one. "Pastor," he called, "this is misunderstanding. Tell Mama to come out. We will talk." I felt tears in my eyes. Talk. After the slap. After the threats. After bringing tools to my gate. Lillian shouted, "Stop acting like a victim. You signed it. It is ours." Pastor Samuel said quietly to me, "They are afraid of police. That means they know what they are doing is wrong." My phone vibrated. A message from Mr. Adimi. "Do not sign anything else. Do not leave your home. If they force entry, record if possible." I nodded. Minutes later, a police vehicle turned into our street. 2 officers stepped out. My breath released like I had been holding it for years. Elder Coonley spoke to them first, explaining what happened. Pastor Samuel also explained. Then I came forward and showed my face. One officer looked at my cheek and frowned. "Who did this?" I pointed at Lillian. Lillian laughed like it was a joke. "Officer, it is family matter." She fell. I shook my head. "She slapped me at the wedding. Many people saw it. There are videos." Kelvin stepped forward quickly. "Officer, please, no arrest. It is misunderstanding. We came to settle. My mother is old and emotional." The officer looked at Kelvin. "So you brought workers with tools to settle?" Kelvin's mouth opened, then closed. The officer turned to Lillian. "Madam, did you assault her?" Lillian's eyes narrowed. "I touched her because she insulted me." The officer sighed. "That is assault." My heart pounded. I wanted justice, but I also felt deep sadness. This was my son's wedding night, and the police were now standing in front of my gate. The officer said, "We will take statements. But for tonight, nobody enters this house without the owner's permission. And you, madam," he looked at Kelvin, "do not return here with workers again." Kelvin nodded stiffly. Lillian's face twisted with rage. She hissed at Kelvin, "You are weak. I told you to handle this." Kelvin's eyes flashed. He turned to me and said, "Mom, you have chosen strangers over your own son." My chest hurt. "No," I said softly. "You chose greed over your own mother." Kelvin stared at me, breathing hard. Then, suddenly, he stepped close and whispered so only I could hear, "You think this ends tonight? It just begins. You will not win." He stepped back and smiled for the police like a good man. Then he took Lillian's arm and walked away down the street. I watched them go, and something inside me trembled. Because I knew Kelvin was not finished. And Lillian was the kind of person who did not accept, no. She accepted only control. The police left after taking notes and warnings. Pastor Samuel stayed a little longer and prayed with me. Elder Coonley promised to check on me in the morning. When I finally locked my door and sat on my bed, the house was quiet, but my mind was loud. I held my documents in my lap and whispered to myself, what did I really sign? What else have they already done with that power? Then, at almost midnight, my phone rang again. It was a number I did not know. I answered carefully. "Hello." A man's voice said, "Good evening, Madam Eunice. This is the bank. We are calling about the loan under your name. Your repayment is overdue." My whole body went cold. Because I had never taken any bank loan. And that meant Kelvin had used my signature, my name, and my house, without my full understanding. I gripped the phone and whispered, "What loan? How much?" The man said the number. It was so big that my mouth fell open. My heart pounded as fear rose like water in a flooding room. Because if Kelvin had taken a huge loan in my name, then the danger was bigger than eviction. It could destroy my life completely. I sat on my bed with the phone pressed to my ear. The bank officer repeated the loan amount again, slowly, like he thought I did not understand. "Madam Eunice," he said, "this loan has been active for 3 months. We have tried to reach you. The phone number on the account has changed, but this number is attached as an emergency contact. The repayment is overdue." My throat felt tight. "Sir," I said, "I did not take any loan. I did not go to any bank." There was a pause. "Madam, the documents are signed. There is a guarantor and collateral. Your property address is listed. We can send the details to you." My hands shook. "Please send it," he said, "we will email and also send to your phone." I ended the call and stared at the wall. My chest rose and fell fast. My mind felt like it was spinning. 3 months. That meant even before the wedding, Kelvin was already using my name. My phone beeped. A message came in. It contained a summary and an email address. I opened the message and saw something that made my blood run cold. The signature line said, Eunice Adewale. That was me, but the signature did not look exactly like mine. It looked like a copy. Like someone practiced it. I whispered, forgery. I called Mr. Adeyemi immediately, even though it was late. He answered, sounding tired but alert. Madam Eunice. The bank called, I said, my voice shaking. They said there is a loan under my name. A big loan. 3 months old. He did not speak for a second. Then he said, very calmly, I feared this. Madam, listen to me carefully. Do not panic. We will handle it step by step. How? I asked, tears finally falling. They will take my house. We will stop it, he said. First, tomorrow morning, you come to my office early. Bring the title documents you have. Bring your ID. Bring any messages from the bank. Second, we will write the bank immediately stating you did not authorize the loan. Third, we will file an urgent court motion to revoke the power of attorney and place an injunction on the property. That means nobody can sell it or seize it until the court decides. I wiped my tears. And Kelvin. Mr. Adeyemi's voice became firm. If Kelvin forged your signature and used the power of attorney to obtain a loan, that is criminal. We will also make a police report for fraud. My stomach turned. The word, criminal, felt heavy. Kelvin was my son, but Kelvin had already made his choice. I remembered his whisper, you will not win. I whispered, he wants to destroy me. Mr. Adeyemi said, he wants control. And the fastest way to control a person is to put debt on them and take their shelter. That is what he is doing. I ended the call and sat in silence. That night, I did not sleep well. Every small sound made me jump. I kept my documents close. I kept a chair behind my door. In the morning, I washed my face and wore simple clothes. I did not dress like a wedding mother anymore. I dressed like a woman going to battle with paper and truth. Pastor Samuel came early with Elder Coonley. They drove me to Mr. Adeyemi's office. When we arrived, Mr. Adeyemi looked at my face and shook his head slowly. This is painful, he said. But we will focus. He sat me down and began to ask questions. Madam Eunice, he said, tell me exactly what Kelvin asked you to sign. I explained everything. The pressure, the talk of support, the small print, his finger-covering lines, the way he rushed me. Mr. Adeyemi listened and took notes. Then he said, this is what likely happened. Kelvin used the power of attorney to act on your behalf. He could have taken a loan and used your property as collateral. He could also have prepared documents to transfer the property into his name or into someone else's name. The goal would be simple. Remove you from the house, then complete the transfer quietly. My hands trembled. So the slap was part of the plan. Yes, he said. Public shame keeps you quiet. People think you are the problem. That is why they did it in front of guests. He asked for my title documents. I gave them to him. He inspected them carefully, then nodded. Good. You still have the originals. That gives us strength. Then he printed a document and placed it in front of me. This, he said, is a revocation of the power of attorney. You will sign it. We will notarize it. We will serve Kelvin. From that moment, he has no authority to act for you. I looked at the paper and felt my heart beating hard. This was my first strong move. I signed. Mr. Adeyemi continued. Next, we will file an injunction to stop any transfer or enforcement action on the house until the court hears the matter. We will also write the bank and request all documents related to the loan, including CCTV records, witness statements, and the officer who processed it. Pastor Samuel nodded. Yes. Mr. Adeyemi looked at me. Madam, are you ready for what comes next? I swallowed. What comes next? Kelvin and Lillian will react, he said. When people who want control lose control, they often become more aggressive. They may threaten you. They may try to trick you. They may try to force you to settle quietly. My mouth went dry. I am afraid. He nodded. Fear is normal, but we will put protection around you. Also, we will gather evidence. The wedding videos, witness statements, the bank messages, and any other proof. He handed me his phone. Call Kelvin now, on speaker. I want to hear his tone. Do not accuse him of crimes yet. Just say you want clarity on what you signed. My hands shook as I dialed Kelvin. He answered quickly, like he was waiting. Mom. His voice was cold. I swallowed. Kelvin, I want to ask. What did you make me sign 2 weeks ago? Kelvin laughed. Mom, are you still on that? I told you. It is settled. Kelvin, I said, keeping my voice calm, the bank called me. They said there is a loan in my name. Did you take a loan in my name? There was a short silence. Then Kelvin said, Mom, do not start. That loan is for our future. It is for the family. But I did not agree, I said. Kelvin, my house is attached. He sighed like I was irritating him. Mom, you were going to die there alone. Now the house will work. It will bring money. Lillian and I will build something. My eyes filled with tears. Kelvin, you used me. He snapped, stop acting like a saint. You have been controlling me my whole life. Mr. Adimi raised his eyebrows, listening. I said, I only tried to protect you. Kelvin's voice became sharp. You wanted to embarrass me. You wanted Lillian to leave. You wanted me to look poor. So yes, I did what I had to do. I whispered, you forged my name. Kelvin shouted, I did not forge anything. You signed. You gave me authority. Kelvin, I said, I have revoked it. He went silent. Then he laughed, slow and dangerous. You revoked it. Who told you that you can do that? That useless lawyer. Mr. Adimi's face stayed calm. Kelvin continued, Mom, listen. If you fight us, I will make sure you regret it. The bank will come. The court will take time. You will suffer. Just cooperate and we will give you peace. I breathed slowly. What peace? In whose house? Kelvin's voice turned icy. Mom, this is my last warning. Then he ended the call. My hands shook. Mr. Adimi took the phone from me. Madam, he said, that call was important. He admitted the loan is for his future and that he used your authority. That helps us. Pastor Samuel whispered, he has changed. Mr. Adimi nodded. Now we move faster. For the next hours, Mr. Adimi worked. He filed documents. He drafted letters. He sent notices. He told me to gather all wedding evidence. Pastor Samuel called church members who attended the wedding. Many had seen the slap. Some had videos. A few people were afraid to get involved, but some agreed to help because what happened was too wrong to ignore. By afternoon, Mr. Adimi said, we have a temporary application filed. We have served the bank with notice of dispute. We have prepared a police complaint for assault and fraud. Next, we will serve Kelvin with the revocation. Elder Coonley offered to go with a process server. I went home with Pastor Samuel. When I reached my house, I noticed something. My gate lock looked scratched, like someone had tried to force it. I felt cold inside. They had tried again. I went inside and checked my rooms. Nothing was missing, but I felt watched. Then, as evening came, my phone beeped. A message from an unknown number. It was a photo of my house, taken from across the street. And under it, one sentence. Sign settlement, or you will sleep outside. My breath caught in my throat. Because that meant they were still around. Watching, waiting. And I suddenly understood something else, something deeper and uglier. Kelvin and Lillian were not just doing this alone. Someone else was helping them. Someone who knew how to use papers, loans, and threats. Someone who wanted my house for a reason bigger than a wedding. I stared at the photo until my eyes hurt. Then I heard a knock at my door. Not a soft knock. A hard knock, like the person knocking believed they had the right to enter. I stepped back slowly, my heart pounding. Pastor Samuel was not with me now. I was alone. The knock came again. Then a voice I recognized said, Mama Eunice, open. It is me. It was Uncle Tunda, and behind his voice, I heard other footsteps. Multiple. I held my breath. Because if Uncle Tunda was here at night with people, it meant Kelvin had sent reinforcements. And I did not know what they were ready to do. I did not open the door right away. I stood behind it and asked, Uncle Tunda, why are you here? His voice came again, loud and impatient. Open this door. We want to talk. I took a deep breath. Then I remembered what Mr. Adimi said. When people want control, they push harder when they feel it slipping. I said, talk from there. Uncle Tunda sounded annoyed. Mama Eunice, do not behave like a child. Kelvin sent me. We are family. Open up. I looked through the small window beside the door. I saw Uncle Tunda, and behind him, two men I had never seen before. They were big. They did not look like family. They looked like muscle. My stomach tightened. I stepped back and picked up my phone. I called Pastor Samuel quickly. He answered, Mama. Pastor, I whispered, Uncle Tunda is at my door with two men. I think they want to force me. Pastor Samuel's voice became sharp. Do not open. Call the police immediately. I am coming now. I ended the call and dialed the police station number I had saved from the night before. I spoke clearly. This is Eunice Adewale. The people warned last night are at my house again. I fear they will force entry. The officer said they were coming. Then I heard Uncle Tunda shout, Mama Eunice, if you do not open, we will break it. My hands trembled, but my voice came out firm. Break it and the police will arrest you. There are witnesses and reports already. There was silence for a moment. Then one of the unknown men laughed. Old woman thinks paper can save her. Uncle Tunda hissed, keep quiet. Then Uncle Tunda said, softer, Mama Eunice, do you want to disgrace your son? You want him to go to jail. You want his new wife to suffer. I felt pain rise, because the words were designed to bend me. But then I remembered the slap. The threat. The loan. The truck. I answered, Uncle, Kelvin disgraced himself. He chose this. Uncle Tunda's voice turned cold. You do not know what you are doing. Kelvin needs that house. We all need that house. We all. That word hit me. I said, so you are part of it. Uncle Tunda did not deny. He sighed hard. Mama Eunice, you are old. You do not need a big house. Kelvin needs it to build something that will help the whole family. I asked, what are you building? He paused, then said, a business. A property project. Something big. The truth began to settle like dust in my mind. Kelvin did not do this only for love or a wedding. He did it for money. For a plan. And Uncle Tunda was helping because Uncle Tunda would benefit. I stood there, trembling, but thinking clearly. I said, Uncle, leave my door. If you want to talk, come tomorrow with my lawyer present. He laughed. Lawyer. Lawyer. You think lawyer will stop family decision? I heard footsteps move closer. I heard metal scrape against my lock. They were trying. I stepped back and held my phone tight, recording with the camera now, just like Mr. Adimi advised. I aimed it at the door. The lock rattled. Then, outside, I heard a siren. A police siren. The scraping stopped immediately. Uncle Tunda cursed under his breath. A moment later, the police vehicle pulled up. Two officers came out quickly. Behind them, another vehicle arrived. Pastor Samuel's car. I felt my knees go weak, but this time from relief. The officers walked to my door and knocked. Madam Eunice, it is police. I opened carefully. Uncle Tunda stepped back, trying to look innocent. Officer, we are just family, trying to settle matter. The officer looked at the two unknown men. And these ones are family too. The men shifted uncomfortably. I held up my phone. Officer, I recorded them trying to force my lock. The officer's face hardened. You again, he said to Uncle Tunda. We warned you people last night. Uncle Tunda raised his hands. It is misunderstanding. The officer turned to the unknown men. You, show ID. They hesitated. That hesitation was enough. The officer said, all of you, enter the vehicle. We will take statements. Uncle Tunda protested, officer, please. But the officer was firm. They took Uncle Tunda and the two men away. Pastor Samuel entered my house and held my hand. Mama, you did well not to open. I sat down, shaking. The next morning, Mr. Adimi moved quickly. He filed an additional complaint about harassment and attempted forced entry. He also followed up with the bank. Within days, the bank released more details. And that was when everything became clear, plain, and ugly. Kelvin had used the power of attorney I signed to obtain a large loan. He told the bank it was for property development. He used my house as collateral. He provided documents, including signatures and copies of my ID. Some signatures looked traced, some looked real. The bank officer who processed it had not properly verified that I was present. Kelvin then planned to transfer the house into his name or into a company name, so it would look like a normal business move. Lillian's family had connections and wanted to use my property location as the center of a small rental project. Uncle Tunda was involved because he was promised a share of the profits and a role in managing the property. That was why Uncle Tunda said, "We all need that house." It was a group plan. Now the wedding makes more sense too. They needed the wedding to do three things. First, to make Kelvin look like a successful man who could handle business and big loans. Second, to put me in a public place where they could shame me, silence me, and make me look like the troublemaker if I resisted. Third, to keep Kelvin and Lillian busy in the public eye while their workers tried to enter my home and prepare for my removal. The slap was not only anger. It was a test. It was Lillian showing she could harm me and still feel protected. Kelvin telling me to shut up was also not a mistake. It was a decision. He chose his new life, his new image, and his new money plan over the dignity of his mother. When Mr. Adimi explained it all like that, I felt something break inside me again. Not because I did not already feel betrayed, but because now I could see the full picture clearly. They had planned it carefully. Mr. Adimi said, "Madam Eunice, we have strong grounds. Assault at the wedding has witnesses. Attempted forced entry has police report. Loan dispute has evidence of improper verification and possible forgery. Revocation of power of attorney is done. We will apply for injunction and also for criminal investigation." The bank, under pressure, agreed to freeze enforcement actions on the property while investigations continued. The court granted a temporary order stopping any transfer or eviction related to my house until the matter was fully heard. Kelvin and Lillian were furious. Kelvin came to the church one Sunday, looking tired and angry. He waited outside for me after service. When I saw him, my heart squeezed. A mother's heart is a strange thing. It can hurt and still love. Kelvin stepped close. "Mom, why did you do this? Why did you involve police? Why did you make me look like a criminal?" I looked at him carefully. I spoke slowly so my words were clear. "Kelvin, you made yourself look like that when you used my name for a loan. When you brought workers to break my gate. When you let your wife slap me in public." Kelvin's face tightened. "You do not understand pressure. Lillian's family expects things. I needed to prove myself." I nodded. "So you proved yourself by hurting me." Kelvin lowered his voice. "Mom, if you just cooperate, we can still fix this. We can still do the project. I will take care of you." I shook my head. "Kelvin, I do not want your care that is built on my suffering. I want respect. I want honesty." Kelvin's eyes looked wet for a moment, but then he hardened again. "Lillian says you are jealous." I felt a deep sadness. Jealous of what? Of being slapped. Of being threatened. "Kelvin, listen to yourself." He looked away. Then he said something that answered the last question I needed. He said, "Mom, you should have known the house would become mine one day." That sentence carried his whole motive inside it. Entitlement. He believed my sacrifice meant my property belonged to him. He believed motherhood was a contract where the mother gives and gives until nothing is left. I breathed slowly and said, "Kelvin, a mother gives love. Not ownership of her life." Kelvin's jaw clenched. "So you will fight your own son in court?" I answered, "Kelvin, you forced me. You gave me no peaceful path. You wanted me silent. But silence would have killed me slowly." Kelvin stood there, breathing hard. Then he turned and walked away. Lillian never apologized. Not once. Instead, she spread stories. She told people I was wicked. She told people I wanted to destroy their marriage. Some people believed her, but many people saw the truth. Because the truth leaves footprints. And Kelvin and Lillian left many. The legal process took months. It was not quick. It was not easy. But step by step, the evidence grew. The bank officer admitted Kelvin mostly handled everything, and I was never properly present for verification. The signatures were examined. Experts said some signatures appeared inconsistent with my known signatures. Because of that, the bank agreed to restructure the matter. They moved the loan responsibility away from me while the investigation continued, and they pursued Kelvin directly. The house remained protected under court order until final settlement. Kelvin's job was affected. Investigations do not stay quiet. His company heard. His image cracked. Uncle Tunda withdrew. He began to beg quietly for forgiveness, not because he felt sorry, but because he feared consequences. Lillian's family backed away when they saw police reports and court orders. They did not want their name involved. And then came the night that truly delivered on the title, the night I took back everything. It was not a night of shouting or violence. It was a night of legal power. Mr. Adimi called me and said, "Madam Eunice, the court has granted full injunction and recognized your revocation. Kelvin cannot claim authority. Also, the property transfer attempt has been halted. Your ownership is confirmed pending final fraud outcome. You are safe in your home." I sat down, and my hands shook, and I cried. Not because I won money. Because I won breathing space. Because I won my right to sleep in the house I built. Because I won the right to be treated like a person. That same night, Kelvin and Lillian tried to come again, but this time, they came with a different face. Not workers. Not threats. They came with pleading. Kelvin stood at my gate. Lillian stayed in the car, her eyes hard. Kelvin said, "Mom, please. Let us talk. Let us settle quietly." I stood behind my gate and looked at him. I felt pain and love, mixed in a way I cannot fully explain. I said, "Kelvin, you cannot build a future on my fear." He whispered, "We will be homeless." That word hit me like a stone. Homeless. Because they had planned to remove me and live in my house while using it as business collateral. Now they could not. The loan, the pressure, the wedding expenses, the pride, the lies, all of it collapsed on them. I looked at Kelvin and said the hardest truth. "Kelvin, you chose this. You chose to gamble with my home. You chose to shame me. Now you will face the result." He cried then, quietly. His shoulders shook. Lillian opened the car door and shouted, "Stop crying. Tell her to open." Kelvin did not move. I spoke calmly. "Kelvin, I will not throw you into the street without any path. But you will not live here. Not after what you did. You will go to your friends. You will go to your wife's family. You will find your own place, like an adult." Lillian shouted, "You wicked old woman." I felt a sting, but I kept my voice steady. "Lillian, you slapped me in public. You threatened me in my own home. Do not call me wicked." Kelvin wiped his face. "Mom," he whispered, "I made a mistake." I nodded slowly. "Yes. And you must carry it." Then I did one more thing, the final line of "took back everything." I told Kelvin, "Tomorrow, Mr. Adimi will send you the final notice. You are no longer authorized to act for me in any way. You are not welcome in this house without permission. If you come with threats again, the police will handle it." Kelvin nodded like he understood. Then he walked back to the car. Lillian slammed the door and drove off fast. That was the last night they tried to force me. Later, Kelvin and Lillian separated. Not immediately, but the cracks were there. A marriage built on control and greed does not rest easily. Kelvin began to see what kind of person he had married, and Lillian began to see that Kelvin could not protect her plans anymore. I heard later that Lillian moved back to her parents for a while. Kelvin rented a small place. He struggled. He felt shame. He felt the weight of what he did. One day, months later, Kelvin came alone to my gate in the afternoon. He did not shout. He did not demand. He just stood there quietly. I opened the gate slightly. He said, "Mom, I am sorry." I studied his face. He looked smaller. Not in body, but in pride. I said, "Sorry does not erase what happened. But it can be a beginning." He nodded. "I want to change." I did not hug him immediately. I did not rush. Trust that breaks does not fix in one day. But I spoke the lesson that grew inside me through all of this. I said, "Kelvin, never use love as a rope to tie someone down. Never think a person must suffer because they love you. When someone asks you to be honest, do not punish them. And when you are tempted to silence the truth, remember this: silence is not peace if it is built on fear." Kelvin cried again, softer. "I understand." I closed the gate gently and said, "Go and build your life the right way." If you want a home, earn it. Do not steal it from your mother. And that is how the story ended. Not with screaming, not with violence, but with a grandmother who finally listened to her instincts, stood up for herself, and refused to be erased. Because family love is real. But real love does not slap you in public. Real love does not take loans in your name. Real love does not tell you to shut up while you bleed. And if you learn anything from my story, let it be this. Sometimes, the bravest thing a mother can do is stop being silent. Sometimes, protecting yourself is not selfish. It is survival.